Hey guys, here we are at the spray booth area of my hobby room, and I'm going to do a quick tutorial on how to spray alclad chrome. There is several different ways that I've seen people do this. This happens to be what I have tried and practiced and had very good luck with. It's pretty much along the lines of how alclad the company wants it done. The first thing that I use is the Model Master Classic Black. Let's see if we can get this. There we go. 2921 Classic Black spray enamel. I use this to get my base coat on all parts that I'm spraying alclad. I spray it and usually let it sit for about 24 hours and dry out real good. This is the Classic Black that has been sprayed on a spoon. In fact, I sprayed this about 6 o'clock yesterday evening, and it is now dry and ready for alclad. This is straight out of the can. Nothing's been buffed on this, wet sanded, anything. It's just directly out of the can. There is a few flaws in this particular spoon that probably are going to magnify when I spray the alclad on it. But this is going to give you an idea of how to spray this stuff. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to set this to the side. And I'm going to be using my Grex Genesis XT Gravity Feed Dual Action Airbrush. I've got all my airbrushes set up on quick release, and I have a regulator right here. This airbrush happens to be already set for just spraying alclad chrome. I also use this airbrush on many of my other finishes, but I have a chart wrote down of different settings for my fluid and my air, and as of right now this is set for alclad chrome. So to get into this, we're going to be using the standard alclad chrome. This happens to be in the 4-ounce bottle. You can also get this in 1-ounce bottles. So I'm going to open it up here. It's already been shook up. That is something you definitely want to do with alclad, is to make sure that there is no silver particles laying on the bottom of the jar. Each time you get it out, you want to make sure that you shake that very well. So we're going to dump a little bit in the gun here and pop the cap on. Let me put the cap back on this, because if you're like me and you leave an open jar of paint sitting around, it is going to be turned over on its side and wasted. Okay, I'm not going to kick my booth on to do this, since this will be pretty quick. I normally spray everything with my booth on, but this thing, since I modified the fans in it, is so loud that I'm going to have to yell over top of it. So we're not going to do that today. So basically, I've got my alclad chrome in the airbrush, and you can see about how much is coming out of the airbrush. This is what takes a little bit of practice to learn the ratio for your particular airbrush. But spraying this is fairly simple. It is a matter of, I usually stay 3 to 4 inches away from what I'm doing, and I move my airbrush pretty quick back and forth while I'm rolling my part. And basically all you're trying to do is get a thin mist of the alclad on your part. If you go silver with this, a dull silver, you've went too far, and you will have to redo it to get the effect that you're looking for. So there is the first spray of the alclad chrome, and I don't know if I get it closer to the camera if you can see. Yeah, you can start to see a reflection already in this. This stuff dries extremely fast. A lot of people tend to wait a little bit before they do anything with it. I have my settings so pretty much when this lands on the surface, it's almost a powder, which means it's dry. When it hits the surface, it's pretty much dry. So what I do now is, this part is not completely sprayed. I will stop at that point, and basically all I'm going to do is take a piece of old t-shirt, and I want to very lightly wipe the surface. And what this does is it knocks off the dusty film that gets on it. Now this is actually looking pretty good. You can definitely see a reflection. Let me see if I can bring the can over here and get a reflection in this. Let me get it here in the light. You can see the can in that spoon. It is pretty shiny right now. And I can also see the flaws in here where I'm at. But the next step that I do is, after I have that wiped down, I want to go back over it with another mist coat of alclad. And pretty much the same thing that we did the first time. Same distance, same movement on the airbrush. Just going to put the second light dusting on it. And I want to try to get this done before my compressor kicks on, which is another noisy item in here. And there it kicked on. It's not as bad as the fans though, so I'm going to continue with this. Now I have that sprayed with the second coat, and I'm going to lightly take the rag and run across this and see if we can get this to buff out a little bit here. Now, a general rule of thumb on this is probably should leave it set about 15 to 20 minutes, something like that, after each coat of alclad that's been sprayed. You can wipe this stuff off if you do it too early. I'm kind of rushing it here a little bit for the tutorial just to show how it's done. But that is pretty much all there is to alclad chrome. When I look at alclad chrome, to me it is a reflective silver and not actually a chrome. But when you look at it in a scale model, if it's applied well, it does mimic chrome to a certain extent. But this is something that you'll just have to experiment with, and it takes a little practice. But that's pretty much all there is to spraying alclad chrome. If you have any questions or concerns on this, or need a little bit more information, just shoot me a PM through the forum, and I'll be more than glad to answer any questions that you have. So I'm going to let you go for now, and I will be working on a few more paint tutorials and lots of neat stuff coming up in the future. So I thank you for watching, and we will talk to you later. Bye bye.